George Saltman.
Welcome to this candidate forum. This is an important election with 3 commission seats up for grabs. And Miami Beach United is committed, as always, to providing the best information we can so that you can make informed choices. There are only a few of us who know the questions that are going to be asked tonight. We've done our best to highlight everything most residents will want to hear about. The forum is going to be video recorded and will be available on our MBU YouTube channel shortly after the event. So the forum tonight is going to consist of 2 panels. This is the first. For the candidates for Group 1, and MBU directors Saul Gross and Ron Starkman will serve as the panels. We're going to allot 1 hour for the panel. We'll have a little more time for each of you because we have 2 people who the second panel will be for the candidates in groups 2 and 3 together. There'll be 4 of them, and the panel there will consist of Gail Durham and Scott Needleman, also board members from MBU. That panel will be about a half an hour. So let me now explain the rules for tonight's forum. Each candidate will be permitted to make a 1-minute opening statement.
Use the mic.
Use the mic.
I'm not hearing you.
Can't hear you.
1-minute opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. The panelists will alternate questions to the candidates. Each candidate will then have up to a minute to respond to each question. At the discretion of the panel, the candidate will be permitted to offer a 30-second rebuttal if you think that is necessary and the panel agrees. Given the number of candidates, we'll be strict about the time limits, so please try to keep your answers crisp, and we will be showing you where is our timekeeper with the time cards. Roger, are you? Okay. Anyway, we will alert you when your time is running out. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn it over to Saul and Ron to start the opening statements.
Thank you, Ron. So we've got a series of questions here for you on traffic, crime, housing, development, budget, and what we'll do to be fair is we're going to alternate who speaks first. So we'll start in terms of opening statements. We start here, and then the first question will begin with. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Saul. Thank you, MBU. My name is Monica Mateo Salinas. I've been a resident of Miami Beach for 16 years, and I've been involved for about 15 and a half. I first started getting involved with my kids' PTA at South Point Elementary, and then when they moved on to middle school, I was elected Nautilus Middle School PTSA president. And then they got to Beach High. I have 2 boys, they attend Beach High. And they were like, okay, Mom, enough with PTA. So I said, perfect, I'll run for commission. And here I am. I've been involved in the committee, in various boards and committees. I actually served on the board of Miami Beach United. I also served on the Commission for Women and the Committee for Quality Education. I also work for 2 different commissioners as their legislative aide, Commissioner Alex Fernandez and Commissioner Kristen Rosa Gonzalez. I've also been endorsed by Commissioner Tanya Bott, by the resident group So Be Safe, and by the local CWA union 3178. All these endorsements are because people know me, they trust me, they know I'm qualified, and they know I'll get the job done. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Owen Benz. I'm your community candidate in Group 1. For 20 years, my family and I have operated a small business here in South Beach, in Miami Beach and South Beach, named Bella Cuba Restaurant. In 2022, we were honored as Hispanic Heritage Business of the Year. And earlier this year, we also were recognized by the City Commission for our 20th year anniversary as a small business in Miami Beach. Unfortunately, over the last number of years, we've seen many of our legacy small businesses close in Miami Beach, and we're just one of the last 3 remaining Cuban restaurants open for this long here in Miami Beach. In 2019, I established Miami Beach's first sustainable neighborhood association in the neighborhood where I live in Parkview Island in North Beach. And over the last 5 years, I've worked on environmental justice, infrastructural upgrades, and we've brought together with the association over $8 million in direct community benefits to our community, to Miami Beach. Those are projects that are ongoing already right now or completed, and that's what I'm looking to do more of when you elect me as your next city commissioner. I'm not beholden to developers, I'm not beholden to special interests. I'm doing this as a labor of love for my community because we're all in the same position. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure for me to be here tonight. I'm so grateful. My name is Ava Frankel. I was born and raised right here in Miami Beach, Mount Sinai. And I just love Miami Beach. If you ask any of my friends, they'll tell you Ava is one of the most creative people that we know. And I think that I really bring that in terms of my ideas. You can go to my website, it's www.avalovesmiamibeach. I have so many ideas for all the different solutions, and I just think that our commission would be really well off with a different perspective, and I think that I bring good insights. I know Miami Beach backwards and forwards. I love Miami Beach. I have good ideas. And I would also, I'm an engineer, so I would love to work hand in hand with the engineers and help them with solving the drainage problem. But yeah, I love Miami Beach, and I hope that you guys vote for Ava.
Brian Ehrlich, it's a pleasure to be with you guys tonight. I also love Miami Beach a lot. This is the city that really embraced me as a young man. And I think that we need to build a Miami Beach of the future. I think we need vision. I think we need the discipline to do things, and I think we need results. And if you just look outside, you'll see that oftentimes in Miami Beach, we make some short-term decisions that don't help us in the long run. You look at Collins Avenue, you look at Lincoln Road, you look at Ocean Drive, 41st Street. These are forgotten areas, and I believe that we can do better. I'm not from the political world. I've been volunteering for our city for 20 years. I've been on 5 different city boards, the board of the Bass Museum of Art. And in my professional life, I've launched a tech startup. I've built major real estate projects, and I've managed complex budgets in finance, in philanthropy, and in real estate. I bring life experience to this role, and I'm excited to talk to you more about my plans. Thank you.
All right, hi everyone, I'm Daniel Seraldo. I know most of you, actually this is my first time not as a panelist, but as a candidate at an MBU event, so it's really great to be here. I remember when Nancy Liebman was starting MBU, and it was all about preservation and making sure the community had a voice. And that is also why I decided to run, because we right now are under attack by the state with zoning preemptions, including SB 718 that took away our right to vote on major development projects, SB 180, which has canceled a lot of the zoning changes that we've implemented in the last 5 years, and the Live Local, which essentially would force high-rises all over our city and violate our zoning code. So I decided I was the head of the Miami Design Preservation League, but I decided I needed to leave to focus on this election to let all of you know that we're in a zoning crisis. Somehow the city commissioners don't seem to be sharing that too much. Everything seems perfect, but if you look underneath, we've got things on West Avenue, Alton Road, Washington Avenue, Collins Avenue, really like major projects that could be approved without any of us knowing. If I'm elected, the first thing I will do is get the city to join the lawsuit with other cities around the state to sue for our local control. Thank you.
Just one other procedural thing, we'll ask people not, for the rest of the discussion, not to clap until the end.
A few dignitaries that we'd like to recognize tonight. Mayor Minor is here. A little late for the mayoral forum, I might add.
With a fun budget meeting there.
Yeah, I think we had a lot of Commissioner Joe Magazine is here. And Commissioner Laura Dominguez is here. Okay, and Commissioner Fernandez will be here for the second panel, which he will be on. So, welcome everybody, and I'm going to turn it back to Ron for the first question.
Okay, first question is on traffic. Simple question. What's your plan to improve the traffic situation? And we'll start with Monica.
Hi, so again, Monica Mateo Salinas. So I'm a big fan of the trolley system. I do think that we need to do better in terms of cleanliness and safety. However, it's a great transportation system. It's free, it's for the public, it's for everyone, but I think that we need to do better. And two of the ways that I think we need to do better is to have the trolley run longer hours, so start an hour earlier. Currently it starts at 8 a.m. I would like it to start at 7 a.m. And the reason behind that is because in Miami Beach, if you don't live within a certain radius of the public schools, Beach High, you don't get a bus. So a lot of the kids who, might have parents that drop them off, yes, they bike and yes, they scoot, but they can take the trolley too, and that can keep cars off the road. So I think we need to improve our trolley services. And I also think we need more trolleys in the fleet, because if it ran more quickly and you didn't have to wait 20 minutes in the hot sun to get the next trolley, more people would take it, and that would get cars off the road. Thank you.
I barely didn't make it here because of the traffic. It's really bad, especially in North Beach. We're going to have a lot of new development coming online over the next couple of years, a lot of construction. So we're all feeling the pinch with traffic over the last number of years especially. And let's take into account that our economy has been going downwards, not upwards. So when we get busier, the traffic's going to get even worse yet again. All we have to do is look to the exterior. Sometimes we live in a bubble here in Miami Beach, and we have these blinders on, like we can't see what's going on in other big cities around the world that are innovating, that are developing these incredible systems. We're only a 7 square mile island. We should have these solutions. We should be paying people that work, some of the 2,300 staff members that we have on staff, to go and study different cities like Dubai, like Tampa, like Boca Raton. They're piloting an autonomous system, which is like a small autonomous bus that will take you from your home to your destination in minutes.
Hi everyone, I'm Ava, again, in case you forgot. I think that we need more frequent routes for the trolleys, also nicer seating areas to wait for the trolley and other public transportation. I also think we need more efficient lights on our roads. I also think that the bridges that raise and lower when boats come should be limited to non-rush hour hours. So don't be opening that 65th and Alton, Collins, whatever, bridge during rush hour. And then I also think that it would be amazing for people to be able to walk and bike places. Walkability, tree-lined streets. Guess what? Trees also drink up water. It hasn't rained in a week and there's water everywhere. Trees would drink that up. And then also adding more bike lanes for bikers to be able to transit throughout Miami Beach.
So traffic, I think, number one, if somebody tries to tell you that they're going to solve the traffic problem here, they're lying to you. But we certainly have some tools, I believe, in our toolkit that we can use. Number one, when we do any development agreement with developers, when they're building large-scale developments, in my opinion, it is totally garbage when they submit merely a traffic study. You can get any engineer to basically come up with whatever result you want to. We need actual real traffic mitigation plans, real solutions when it comes to parking, when it comes to investments in our infrastructure, because it's a holistic approach, right? Development and traffic are, in my mind, when I go knocking on doors, I kind of hear it in the same breath. With that said, we also need to enhance our roads. We need to increase them in a lot of cases. We need to repair them in a lot of cases. We need accountability dashboards that you can see so you can actually see when a project in your neighborhood is off track and how we can reorient it. Thank you.
So Miami Beach is one of the densest cities in the state of Florida, not the country, already. So personally, I don't think we need to wait for the mega developer projects. I think we need to get that mobility moving like right now, like yesterday. There are these choke points currently on 41st Street. I know one commissioner just decided to like experiment with a whole neighborhood, and a lot of neighbors are very upset about that. What I would like to do is actually get the experts back to running our city. I don't want our city micromanaged by a bunch of part-time commissioners. I've seen how our costs have got out of control by all these pet projects, and I think going to what Brian said, we need better like systems in place, dashboards, to get us moving, to look at the choke points, and to make it safe. I love seeing people from all different walks of life using scooters, bicycles, walking, their car. We need to continue to keep us moving. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to the second question, and we're going to start with Omar this time. Omar, residents continue to be concerned about crime and violence in our community. It's a subject that's been very popular in the mayor's race. I haven't heard as much about it in the commission race. Tell us what specific measures would you propose to enhance public safety if you get elected?
So again, our police budget, our fire and rescue take about 70% of our annual city budget, which is almost $1 billion. I don't think we live in an unsafe city, but our city definitely has hotspots. My family and I operate a business right there in one of those hotspots on Lincoln and Washington, and we see the stuff that happens. So yes, we definitely need to keep training our police force and keep our police force working hand in hand with the community so that we don't cross the line and make it overburdening for residents, such as residents not being able to access parks after 8 p.m. because of issues due to homeless and other vagrancies that we have in the city. So when we have such a large budget, we expect more, and I'm going to expect more from our police department and our municipal employees.
In regards to our police presence, I think that we've done an amazing job in recent years. We currently have a fully staffed police department, which we haven't had in a very long time. That said, I think that we can do things a little bit better. I don't know if you guys know this, but the restaurants on Lincoln Road pay the city for the outdoor seating, and the city collects over $1.5 million per year for that. I think that there should be permanent foot patrol on Lincoln Road, especially at night, keeping residents safe, keeping the restaurants and tenants confident that their customers are going to be protected. I think that we need to do that throughout all of the city where there's a lot of foot traffic and that pedestrians want to frequent. I think that, we've just done a really good job. Miami Beach is really so safe for a major city. You don't look at any other cities and see what we see here. And I'm just grateful, but I think that we can improve. Thank you.
The city must provide and protect its residents. That's the number one thing the city has to do. And we have to make sure that we have accountability in our city government. What does that look like? That goes back to having a real clear measurements so that we can see every person that works in the city and what they are producing to make sure that people are safe. So let's take homelessness, for example. We should be able to see whether homelessness is going up or whether it's going down, and whether it's going up or down in a certain particular area, and that way we can actually try to troubleshoot the problem. On the homelessness front, we also need to make sure that we get those individuals to a lot of the services that we have, and particularly mental health professionals. Number two, design is very important, especially when it comes to making sure that the streets are safe that there's not, really crazy drivers, which we know we have a huge problem with. There's a culture of accountability that we have in this city that's a problem. We gotta fix that at the top.
Well, the police have a very hard job, and I know because working at the center on 10th and Ocean Drive, it's like, ground zero for a lot of the things you see on Channel 7 every night. And so, but we have to remember too that we're a 24-hour city, and it's an amazing job what the police and other first responders do. But one thing that I've noticed in my time working in the district is that we have a very large resort tax reserve that is $40 million that's just sitting there. And I see our budget chair, Joe Magazine, over there. It's not the first time he's heard it. But I strongly believe that rather than having that money sitting there, we really need to reinvest in the district. I would love to see not just police, but also ambassadors, cultural ambassadors, that are more there to help socialize and build community, because the imagery we get projected all over the country of a police state, it might be good for some, but I think we could do better on the marketing front.
So, in regards to the police and homelessness issue, the police have been overworked because they have been short-staffed, and so they've been relying on overtime. This creates low morale, and they're exhausted. Finally, our police department is actually fully staffed, and so that's going to alleviate some of the burden on our police department to actually get out there and do what they need to do without feeling like they need to tear their hair out because they're overworked and exhausted, number one. So change is going to happen because this is already in the works. For the first time, I think it was last month, they announced that they're fully staffed, so that's excellent. Number two, I really truly believe about the homeless issue. We burned a lot of bridges, we meaning our city and folks on the commission, burned some bridges with the Homeless Trust and some other agencies that work in the county and with the state, and we need to mend those fences because we need them as allies. We don't need them busing over more homeless people, and I intend to work on those bridges. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Monica. We sometimes throw in lightning round questions. I just give a yes or a no answer, and I'm curious just to go down the list. Have you, just answer yes or no, have you met with the police chief or anybody in the command staff to talk to them to understand the police issues that the beach is facing? Monica, start from you and just go down.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
And who you met with?
I met with Chief Wayne Jones, Chief Margallo, Chief Sammy Guerrero.
Okay, quick lightning round.
I've been working closely with the FOP for years, and I visit them regularly for roll call at 6 a.m. Possibly
That's a yes.
Yes, love the police.
I've gone to the police board with David Adams and others, probably maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Great. Okay, the next question has to do with the cost of housing. Should the city's taxpayers be funding or subsidizing affordable housing? And what do you think can be done, if anything, about the cost of housing in the city? And so we start now with Ava.
I love this question. So I'm sure many of you know about homestead taxes, that you get a benefit for being homesteaded. So currently, I'm going to use Bella Isla as the example. Do you guys know that building? It's a new rental development on Venetian Island. So currently, they pay property taxes of $1.5 million per year. Which, if you sold each of those units individually, the city would be collecting so much more. And I think that we need to create some sort of system that tracks how much those landlords, those corporate landlords, are raising the rents on an annual basis. And if they're raising it more than a certain percent, then their tax basis gets readjusted so that they have to pay higher taxes, because they can't just be raising the rents and be paying low taxes and have favorable taxes. So that's my answer in 1 minute.
Yeah, we need to make sure that affordability is front and center in the city. There are all this the service industry that we depend on, and these individuals are often not even living in our city, and so we need to make this a priority. I believe that we should do this when we should fast track workforce housing and affordable housing developments so that there's some sort of an incentive for the private sector to actually build this stuff. We all remember from econ, right? That we gotta add supply so we can bring down the costs. We gotta also be very cognizant about where we do that. So we're doing that in the right areas where people actually want this type of housing. I was actually talking to someone this week that owns an apartment building, and he said that he would love to actually enhance his apartment building and restore it. If there was some way to actually work with the city, and he felt like the city was going to be a good partner, and he was going to be, and he could count on the city to actually get permits executed. The issue there is, unfortunately, there's a lot of uncertainty, and that is not good for prices for housing.
I would like to focus on our existing housing. I think that we have within our city enough vacant buildings and enough funds that we could really just go in and either, frankly, through eminent domain with some of these landlords that have let them, literally hundreds of units just totally vacant. By the way, including our own city with the Barclay Plaza, which is a whole other story. But so I would be looking at those incremental preservation-based grant programs, and maybe some also sort of revolving loan credit mechanism to help with resiliency issues. I worked with Laura Dominguez on the private property adaptation program, and that is a cutting edge idea for private property owners to invest, and the city matches the funding. And so I'd much rather focus on that than hope that a mega developer is going to come and give us like 10 new units in their 40-story building. I think that would be a big mistake. Thank you.
So I could talk about this all day, and if you want to talk more about affordable housing after this event, please come find me. I was on the board of the Miami Beach CDC. I was recruited by Jeff Donnelly a long time ago, and when I was on the board of the CDC, I also took the University of Miami Community Scholars and Affordable Housing Program, and I used the CDC as a case study, so I could really talk about this all day. And I'm talking fast because I'm watching the clock here. Anyway, the city could be doing a lot for affordable housing. I think one thing that we're missing is we should be buying foreclosed apartment units, and we can use state grants for that, and we can use federal funding. There's a lot of affordable housing money, and we could be buying apartments for low cost, and instead of purchasing a building or something that's way too cost prohibitive, we could purchase something that's in foreclosure or short sale and get it for pennies on the dollar. So that's one thing we could be doing. And additionally, I think the home buyers grants, we already have home buyer grants. We need to expand that program again with federal funding and with state funding, because the real true ticket out of poverty is someone to have generational wealth and to have an asset that they can pass on to their family. Band-aids, rental assistance is only a band-aid to the problem. We really need to give people wealth. Thank you.
So we have an affordability crisis in the city. About 60% of my employees are now living outside of Miami Beach. They're living as far as Homestead. Some of our own city municipal employees are living really far away in West Kendall because none of them can afford to live here. We've forgotten our way over the last number of years. We've just known how to build the luxury glass towers for luxury developments that nobody lives in. Nobody comes down and uses the services, uses our cafes, our stores. They all don't even live here. So we need to build more affordable housing in the city, and also at the same time incentivize current landlords to renovate their units. And workforce housing is not really something that I aspire to as much as affordable housing, because we all see with the Collins Park project what workforce housing becomes. When a studio is $2,500 beginning at $2,500, and then a one bedroom is like in the $3,000. That is not affordable to anyone. We need truly affordable housing in this city that will work for everybody, not just one type of resident or people that work for the city.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I think you all are, you didn't say explicitly, but I think you all are in favor of having the city's taxpayers contribute toward affordable housing. Is there anybody who doesn't think that the city's taxes should be going that way?
I'm confused by that question. The taxpayers paying for the affordable housing?
Right, when the city budget for subsidies for, revised housing or so forth, then that comes out of the pocket of the city's taxpayers. So is there anybody who doesn't think that the city should be paying for this stuff?
I personally think
No,
that,
I'm not asking a question, just show of hands.
I mean, there's so many units available that are in the $1,500 range on the normal market that are not subsidized. Is that affordable?
Okay, so I think everybody feels that it is appropriate for the city to contribute to the.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
I
Well,
know.
except for a question. Okay, next question.
And also in terms of
Okay,
buying.
I'm sorry, Ava, we're gonna have to
There's
cut
families
you
that
off.
come and do.
Yeah, we,
You have your closing
Okay, I'm
statement. You have your closing statement.
okay, now we're gonna ask a development question, everyone's favorite topic to talk about. How would you have voted if you were on the commission on the Deauville Development Agreement as it was presented and passed by the current commission? And how would you have voted on 1250 West Avenue project? And we'll start with Brian.
I would have voted no on both of those projects. The city got a raw deal. I think that sadly, a lot of the people that are sometimes in elected office don't have a good track record when it comes to understanding the value that they are giving away, the trade-offs that they give, and what we as citizens, as taxpayers, are getting in return. And I'll just say on the 1250 project, like, you know, a 60, you know, plus or minus $60 million profit for something that I don't think that public benefit even came close to that amount. And I think that it goes back to a more holistic question, which is what kind of city do we want to live in? What do we want these neighborhoods to look like? And what do we expect in each of these neighborhoods? The challenge that we have is that we don't have a true master plan in this city. We have one-off deals with developers, and then we wonder why we get our lunch eaten. So no,
Okay, Daniel?
I would get a better deal.
Well, this is a very important question for me, and part of why I ran, because with the state laws changing, basically right now the commissioners have the full say that the voters used to have under State Miami Beach. And so what I have pledged, and you can print it out on my website or bring it to City Hall if I get elected, is I'm not going to do any sort of height increase that is a special deal for a particular property owner. The reason why is, to what Brian was saying, we need to have master plans. And by the way, we actually have many master plans. MDPL was involved in developing many of them over the last 40 years. And so I'd much rather have a community-based consensus project than what we're seeing now, which is like, let's make a deal with the commission. And once again, these part-time commissioners, they're all very nice people, but that's not really why we elect them, to do the deal making. I want to stick to letting the community have the say, so I'd be no on both, thank you.
So this is such a tough question because I would have negotiated it differently. I would have negotiated for lower height, lower FAR, and better community benefits, because both projects, perhaps we could have gotten more knowing the value of what the developers would have gotten. But I also know, and I watched a lot of deliberations on this, that the neighbors next to the Deauville were suffering with the empty lot there, and they wanted that project. The buildings surrounding the Deauville banded together, and they were like, please approve this. And they went through all the process with the developer. It wasn't just the commissioners that voted yes on that, it was the neighborhood that voted yes on that. And 1250, kind of similar happened. There were some people that wanted it, many people that didn't. So it's a very tough push and pull. I definitely would have negotiated that differently. And I don't know how I probably would have voted no until they brought the height down.
So this is a great question for me, because I was the only candidate up here that stood up at the June 27th special commission meeting to approve the Deauville and 1250 West. And I stood side by side with both of those developers, and I announced my candidacy for city commission because I felt so strongly about the horrible deal that we were getting as a city and as a community. I think the deal was rushed through all committees and the boards by some specific commissioners that I believe have a vested interest in pushing that deal through, and their vested interest was not the community. It wasn't the community benefits that were going to come from that, because they were telling us, oh, but the bill is going to give back $350 million within the lifespan of the CRA over a 30-year period in North Beach. But we know that our infrastructure is crumbling today. This past Saturday, we had over 500,000 gallons of raw sewage go into our waterways because another 16-inch sewer main broke. So we need that money today, not 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now.
I would have voted no on Deauville. I think that anyone that's getting a height increase to what Omar was just saying should be at least pledging to redo the infrastructure for at least a 5-block radius. On 1250 West, I wouldn't have even entertained negotiations because the developer is a resident of Miami Beach, owed $500,000 in property taxes, which is due in April, and in August, when the height increase was approved, he still had yet to pay his property taxes. Why are we negotiating with residents that aren't following the rules? Why are we spending our time negotiating with people that feel that it's okay to bend the rules as long as it benefits them? Why are we handing them money on a silver platter? We should not be. We should be instead spending that time that we were negotiating with them, fighting for our residents. Thank you.
Okay, that's it. Next question from Ron.
Thank you, Saul. Okay, next question on the budget. And as commissioners, you would, your responsibilities to manage the finances of the city is one of your most important responsibilities. So our question would be, in terms of the city budget, do you think the city overspends in any areas? Or do you think there are some areas where the city is not currently spending enough? And please be specific. So I think we could start.
Yes, I think that the budget process, and now I'm putting on my management consulting hat back when I worked at Deloitte Consulting on Wall Street. But the process we have for creating the budget in our city is totally backwards. Some of you were at that budget meeting when we were supposed to be here for the mayoral debate. And the problem is you have the board members, the commissioners at the last minute. I think Joe Magazine called out David Suarez because David hadn't even gone to the budget retreat, which was in the summertime, right? So we've got to flip the equation. What I like is how the county does it. They have community budget meetings. I want to start going to all of you in your neighborhoods first, saying, what do you need? Not, I'm a commissioner, I want to have an $800,000 fitness thing called Wadzapalooza that nobody attends. You know, we have, our taxes are way too high to just be like, you know, these fun things for our part-time commissioners. So I want to put you all in the driver's seat.
Yeah, our budget is huge, and obviously the biggest budget chunk goes to police and fire. I've never heard anyone say they wanted less police. So, you know, I don't think anyone wants to cut police or fire. I mean, they're emergency personnel, they're emergency services, you know, they're very, very important. So that's, you know, one thing. I will say though, it'd be great to look at the budget and see how we can readjust it. I do feel like our parks are a bit underfunded. We've got, you know, both in maintenance and programming. I mean, we've got a lot of families here, and actually I was knocking on doors and she said, why don't we have a Miami Beach, you know, youth league? And, you know, people want more parks, people want more activity, people want more health and wellness. I would love to sit down and actually really look at the budget a little bit better and figure out how we can reconfigure it to go more to the residents. Thank you.
So my top priority in my campaign is infrastructure, sewer and stormwater infrastructure, so that we're not swimming in our own poop and flooding, basically when we're crossing the street, like we had over last week. I think infrastructure is seriously underfunded in this city, and the other thing that I think is that we do things half-baked. We fund certain things by a lot, but then we don't actually provide the real benefits to the community where we all sit back and we say, wow, this was worth it, you know? I think one of the main examples of that, contrary to one of my colleagues who said that our parks are underfunded. I don't believe our parks are underfunded in any way. What perhaps our parks are missing is more creativity, so that we have plenty of park spaces, but I see a lot of people complaining about not enough shade trees and benches that are too hot to sit on. and dog parks that have gravel on them and our dogs can't even run on. So those are the kinds of things that I want to focus on, but I definitely want to focus on our $1 billion budget and trimming the fats.
At the last commission meeting, they said that our budget, our own commission can't even see line by line what the money is spent on. So how is anyone gonna cut the budget if you don't know what it's being spent on? You see that it's going to one division, but you don't know what they're spending the money on. I personally worked in wealth management at Merrill Lynch and I minored in mathematics. I'm very good at numbers. I'm very crafty with how I spend. I probably have the lowest budget campaign out of everyone around me, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job. So I think that we can definitely do more with less. I would love to help do that, but I think that the best way to do that is by actually having insight into what we're spending on, and it's kind of ridiculous to think that our city officials don't know what we're spending on line by line.
Yeah, I mean, I do echo Amber's point. We need to get a good return on our investment. That when I've managed multi-million-dollar budgets before in finance, in real estate, and in the philanthropic world, and you always need to look at your revenue, what's coming in, and we have obviously property taxes for that, and we've got sales taxes for that, consumption taxes, and we also need to think outside the box. When Bloomberg went into office in New York City, he actually created a division called New York City Marketing, and they actually partnered with businesses to figure out ways to actually generate new income streams for the city. I think we need to flip the script and try to be a little more creative, number one, on the revenue side. On the expense side, absolutely, we need to be extremely careful about expenses in the city. We're totally bloated. We have so many consultants that the city pays that we don't really know what these multi-year consulting projects are even for. And we also need to take a real hard look at the employee, at each division inside of the city and make some hard decisions. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're back to Monica. Our major retail corridors have multiple vacancies, and many of our businesses are struggling in Miami Beach. In your opinion, what do you think is the cause of this? Do you think the government has a role to play in solving it? And if so, what would you do?
Sure. So yes, retail is, businesses are taking too long to open, that's the bottom line. We need to streamline the permit process. We need to help our small businesses and even large businesses. I know that Denny's on Washington Avenue, it took them like 2 years to open, it was crazy. So we need to have a better program management system within our departments. So for example, if a business wants to open, they have to go to the finance committee, then they have to go to the planning committee, then they have to go to they have to go to Durham to get their grease trap. So we need people that can hold their hand so that way they can get their permits quicker and they're not in bureaucratic limbo for years and years and years. I think that would greatly improve our businesses here. And also 10 years ago, we used to have a business academy that we offered to people who wanted to open a business. It was 4 weeks, it was free. And the first day you would go and you would learn about code. How big does your sign have to be? What are the restrictions? And the second day you would go and you would meet with different city departments. We used to offer that class 10 years ago, and I think we need to bring it back. Thank you.
I used to operate a walk-in food tour company on Lincoln Road many years ago, and when we would arrive on Lincoln Road at Books and Books Cafe at 11 a.m., Lincoln Road was already full. We needed to wait for tables for 10, 15, 20 minutes sometimes. Lincoln Road today is a shell of what it used to be. What's the reason behind that? Because we've been alienating people from coming here, visitors, and we now have a lot more competition. We've lost our creative edge, we've lost our competitive edge, and we're nothing more than a beach town. And so we need to expand our horizons. We need to create a new niche economy here in Miami Beach that will make us less reliant on tourism and hospitality and property taxes, so that we can have more offices and people working and living here full time. Because we do the play part really well, but we don't do the work and the live part that great.
Will you repeat the question one more time?
That's true. We have a lot of vacancies in our storefronts. What would you do if you think the government has a role to play in that?
I definitely do think that the government has a big role to play in it. I think that we really have been disrespectful to our businesses because these people, they come here wanting to add beauty and life to our community, and we strangle them with red tape. Like everyone else is saying, I mean, it's evident. There's so many vacancies because what kind of business is going to want to come and pay sky-high rent on Lincoln Road and then have their doors shut for who knows how many months waiting on permits? Nobody. So they go to other parts of Miami because it's easier. We need to be easy. We have so much red tape, so many hoops that you need to jump through in order to start a business, and then on top of it, once your business is up and running, it's even hard to operate it. You have rules on you like no live music on Lincoln Road. Why can't you have a jazz band or a pianist? I don't know. But yeah, we just need to do a better job.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about the red tape piece with my colleagues here, so I would definitely echo that. I think it's a really valid piece, but I actually think the real challenge here lies in a strategic plan for each of these neighborhoods. We need to understand what is Lincoln Road, what is Washington Avenue. In my mind, Washington Avenue could perhaps be the environmental tech hub of Miami Beach. And maybe we try to attract all of the environmental tech startups across the world. People who want to come to Miami, tell them that we're going to locate them right on Washington Avenue and we're going to solve issues around climate resiliency. I think we got to think big and actually articulate a plan, and yes, government can absolutely do that. And if you speak with a unified voice and you're able to bring the private sector and the public sector together, it's going to be dynamite.
Yeah, I think that our corridors are all incredible, but they need to be buffed up like a diamond in the rough, you know? And one thing that has not been mentioned that we have to be honest about is the rents are way too high. And I don't have any landlords backing me, so I'm gonna tell it to you straight. When I go to these shops, it's not necessarily the permit, it's their monthly rent. It's way too high. What I don't understand is why is there no transparency about the cost of renting for these businesses? Just like if we sell a house, people know what it's sold for, what it was purchased for. We get people that take advantage, predatory landlords are taking advantage of restaurant owners. They're getting them to spend millions of dollars to improve the space, and then by the time they open, they have no money left, and then they go rent it out to another company. So we need a little more of that surgical look into what's really going on, and with some transparency and a little more marketing, I think we could shine them up.
Okay, we have one last question. This is kind of a lightning round question, so 30 seconds for this one, okay? And then we'll go to the closing statements. The question is, the commission recently voted to allow Boucher Brothers to sell on a pilot basis alcohol in Lucas Park. Do you agree with that, and how would you have voted?
At the beach chairs that they have at Lewis Park?
No, yes, that the Boucher Brothers where they have their the beach chair. So let's see, it's I think it's Omar's turn. Start first.
I actually already voted on it. I voted no as part of the CRA advisory committee when that item came before us. And I knew that it was going to be extended throughout the entire beach. They said that it was just a pilot to try it in a certain part in Loomis Park. But it's going to come to the entire beach because you know that Boucher Brothers has so much power in this city and they lobby the heck out of this city. And we don't need more drinking on our beaches after what we just got rid of spring break. We don't need more drinking on our beaches. And there's ways of doing things. We're a tasteful city. We're a world-renowned city. We cannot go back to this.
If I'm correct in my understanding, it's their beautiful beach chairs that they have on the beach. And I think that they should be allowed to sell alcohol. Why not? Every other beach sells alcohol. If you're staying at Fountain Blues, the Thai, Four Seasons, wherever it is, Soho House, they all sell alcohol. So why not let the people that have the $30 beach chair sell alcohol. That makes no, like, of course they should be able to. What, we're gonna discriminate and only rich people can drink? No.
Yeah, look, I think that Ava has some good points. Look, people are going to drink on the beach. Let's be real here. But here's what we need to do. We need to have super high standards. So what I think I didn't feel like maybe we got in that, whatever it was, December meeting, was a sense of, here are the really high standards for what alcohol consumption is going to look like. Here is how it's going to be delivered to you. Here is the type of facility that's going to be there. Here are the hours. Here are the responsibilities and consequences if you don't.
So you would have voted yes or no?
I would have changed the guidelines.
Okay.
Thank you.
Daniel?
I would have voted no under the current plan. I think Alex Fernandez was the only commissioner, right, that voted no about commercializing the beach with Boucher. I think he was the only one, and the mayor. So you all should be aware of that. As far as some of the things you're reading in email, like who is selling out our beach, But what I will say is in Europe, they do have beach clubs, and I'd like to see something in the middle where you can contain the drinking and not have it spill over. That's a big issue.
So first, I want to say my campaign is not being funded by Boucher Brothers. But I would have voted yes, only because it's a pilot program. So let's try something out, and maybe it'll work. And if it doesn't, then we get rid of it. I'm not against pilot programs. I think it's a decent idea, like my other people have mentioned. People drink up and down the beach. We have illegal beach vendors that sell drinks. Maybe this is a way to actually regulate it and control it. Maybe it'll work, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, we stop it immediately. Thank you.
Okay, so for closing statements, we're going to start at the other end, since we started with this end. So Daniel, and then we'll work our way through. You have, how much time do we have? 1 minute? 1 minute.
All right, well, thank you all for taking the time to come out. It's really important, probably the local election more so even than the national at this point, given how the state has taken away so many of our local zoning powers. Whoever replaces Kristen Rosie Gonzalez's seat, which is this seat, Group 1, for the next 4 years is going to be voting on height increases, on new towers on the beach, on Washington Avenue upzoning, Lincoln Road upzoning, West Avenue, Alton Road, all over the place. I hope my 12 years fighting to protect our skyline is enough to be elected or to convince you all to give me the honor of being elected as commissioner, because I'm really concerned that if we do not fight against the state, we're going to end up being Sunny Isles, and it's going to destroy the character and the soul that we have. So I'm running to save the soul of Miami Beach. Daniel Serraldo, Group 1, number 132. Thank you.
Brian Erlich, it's great to be here with you guys tonight. This has been a really engaging conversation. I think that I have a good sense of vision for where the city needs to go. I've also happened to have knocked on 8,000 doors in this city, and I'm proud to say that I'm the only person in my race to have qualified to get on the ballot by signature, by petition, because I wanted to actually talk with you to understand, what these big issues are that we're facing. I believe that I have a unique set of experiences, private sector chops, and I have civic participation. And I've got a lot of energy too, and a lot of grit. I also know how to actually build a real estate project. I understand what the costs are. I understand how we can extract more from developers and hold them accountable. And I've knocked on 8,000 doors in the city, and I think that tells you something about what kind of commissioner that I will be. I will be tireless, relentless, disciplined, and focused on delivering results. Thank you so much, and I would be honored to have your support.
Hi everyone, my name is Ava again. I'm a Miami Beacher through and through. I love this city. I I don't need to run for commission, and I'm running simply because I've seen what's been going on, and I just want to make Miami Beach better. I think for a long time we've been experiencing a lot of the same, and I mean, like a trial project. And see what it's like having someone that's not a political machine coming in here and trying to politic their way through the city. I mean, this city was built by Miami Beachers, people who are not afraid to think outside of the box, not afraid to do things differently, not afraid to innovate, not afraid to use creativity. I am that person, and if you give me the chance, I think that I will blow you guys all away, in a good way. Thank you.
So I believe that over the last 5 years, I've proven that grassroots community action brings true and real results to our community. At no point over the last 5 years, or at any point over my 20 years here in Miami Beach, have I taken money from our community to give back. Unlike everybody else here on this panel, I am running a clean and fresh campaign using my own funds. I do not have a PAC. I'm not being supported by special interests. When you make a very important decision this year to vote for who's going to go in Kristen's seat, you really need to do your research. You need to look at who is making the donations to the other candidates in this group. You need to look at the candidates and their PACs and who is donating the money to those PACs. I am the candidate with the least amount of donations in this group, and you will see that in a few days when our treasury reports are being released. And I'm doing that on purpose because I've been asking people to donate little amounts to my campaign because I'm a grassroots community campaign. Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Monica Mateo Salinas, and I'm running because I want to help my neighbors. I do. I've been involved for 15 years. I also love Miami Beach, and I know how to get things done. I have a bachelor's degree in political science from Michigan State University. I've worked for 2 different commissioners proudly. I know how to get things done. I know how to get results, and I'm ready to hit the ground running. I have a long legislative list that I've been keeping of legislation that I'm going to pass once I get elected. Please come talk to me about something that could help you or your neighborhood or your community, and let's work on an item and add it to my list. I'm very serious about this. I take this very seriously. I want to help my neighbors. I want to help Miami Beach. I want to be better than ever. Since 2021, when I was hired as a legislative aide for Kristen Gonzalez, and I later worked for Alex Fernandez, I've been to every single commission meeting, every single neighborhoods meeting, every single finance meeting, every single land use meeting, every single budget meeting, budget hearing. I've been to it all, and I loved every minute of it. Now I'm ready to work for you as your next commissioner. Thank you.
Okay, well, that concludes this panel discussion. Let's have a round of applause for that.
Okay, first I want to thank the 5 contenders in Group 1 who just concluded their panel, and Sarah and Ron for asking the questions. The next panel are the contenders for Groups 2 and 3, which we're going to do together. The panelists will be Gail Durham and Scott Needleman. And welcome to our candidates. And Gail and Scott, let me start the opening statements.
So everybody gets 1 minute to make an opening statement, and just go down the line, or you can start.
Hi everybody, MBU, thank you so much for hosting this. It really is a special place to be here. My late partner Mark Samuelin was the president of Miami Beach United. So hi everybody, I'm Laura Dominguez, and I'm your Miami Beach Commissioner in Group 2. And it is my honor to serve you, and I'm very much looking forward to winning my election come November. There are 3 things that I've really been focused on at City Hall. One is infrastructure. We have a lot to do with our underground sewer pipes and storm drains to get them replaced. so that we can be the city of the future. Water quality is also very important, and completing the Great Walk is a project that I've really been working on. On public safety, I serve as chair of the Public Safety and Neighborhood Quality of Life Committee, and I'm very excited to have been on the commission to change the chaos for spring break. And finally, citizen services. I also qualified for the ballot by petition, something that I've worked really hard to do by meeting with all of you, and my door is always open. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Fred Carlton. I'm a lifetime Miami Beach resident. I grew up in...
Speak up.
Speak up, speak up. It's working, it's fine.
So I'm a lifetime Miami Beach resident. My name is Fred Carlton. I grew up right around this neighborhood. Went to school, middle school here, right across the street at the Hebrew Academy, so I'm a little familiar with this neighborhood. I'm a businessman. I'm in the real estate investment business. I'm a developer. I have 4 children. All of them were born here outside the hospital. I raised my family here. I have a wonderful wife who's here tonight, my wife Sophia. And I'm doing this because I want to give back to my community. This is a community that gave me so much joy as growing up as a child. And I think that it's time that somebody from the outside comes in who understands business and understands what Commissioner DeVega was saying about infrastructure, come in and try to help City Hall with their projects and get the city rolling. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Fernandez. I'm proud to serve as your city commissioner. Over the past 4 years, you've given me the opportunity to fight for the quality of life of our residents. When Tallahassee was coming after our historic districts, we went to Tallahassee and we fought. We sought protections to protect our Art Deco historic district from demolition. When they were threatening to come after the character of our neighborhoods for the live local, we got protections for our architectural design and for facade replication. When the threats of casinos were coming in, we fought and we won against those powerful interests. 4 years ago, we were facing issues with spring break, and I was proud to propose the main pieces of policies, such as proactively endorsing curfew and raising the non-resident parking rate to deter the violence that was destroying our neighborhoods. And we had to continue working for the future on our infrastructure, on the economic restoration of our business communities, and making sure that we continue advancing on traffic solutions and affordability for the residents of our community. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve you.
Good evening, MBU. Good evening, Miami Beach. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank everyone who was here in attendance. This election is a very important election. It is a local election with a national impact. As we are the #1 tourist destination here in the United States, we have a strong responsibility to ensure that we are caretakers of the city, as if it's a bonsai, very delicate, very precise. And it is that laser focused precision on certain hotspots, certain topics, I think we can improve upon. Now, what I've pledged to do is I've pledged to focus first on the low-hanging fruit, the main areas where those circles overlap and where we are in agreement. Let's check those boxes first, and then afterwards, where we agree, where we have differences, we will of course come across that line of demarcation and elaborate on those points. Thank you.
I just want to make clear that these are 2 races. We have 4 people up here, we have group 2, and we have group 3. We're going to go through the questions. The first question is going to go to Laura. To what extent have you received income or campaign funding from developers or other business interests, directly or through PACs?
Well, thank you for the question. So campaign finance laws are very strict in Miami Beach, and we are prohibited from soliciting or accepting funding
from a whole group of people, and you can find on our website who you can or you can't accept funds from. You have a regular campaign fund where you can get $1,000 max per person or entity, or you have a PAC, which means that somebody can donate more money. I think it's important for a candidate to have broad community support and receive donations from people that are allowed to. It's more than just your parents, it's also residents or businesses in the community. The one to watch out for is if you have somebody saying that they're going to self-fund the campaign. Because what does that mean? They're not going to listen to any of the residents. They're just going to do their own ideological process and leave you out. Where I will listen to the residents, always keep you involved, and having donations from everyone means resident support.
Well, the question, Laura, is have you received income from developers or other business interests?
I've not received from anyone that's prohibited. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Next, Fred.
So, I'll answer the question. There's only one candidate in this group that hasn't received money from developers, and that's me. And I'm not interested in receiving money from developers. I'm not interested. There's only one candidate that hasn't received money from developers, and that's me. Commissioner Dominguez has received a lot of money from developers, so like the Show Group, OKO, and interestingly enough, when she voted for the Deauville, she received a $15,000 donation from Big Easy Casinos. So, you know, I don't know what what that is about.
That is inaccurate information.
Okay, but I will tell you this: when it comes to the residents, there's two things that work for me. It either is resident friendly or it's not resident friendly. If it's resident friendly, I'm going to vote for it. If it's not resident friendly, I'm not going to vote for it. I'm not going to vote for any spot zoning. I'm not going to vote for any FAR increases. And she has every single time, and she knows it.
Now, since
For a point of clarification.
Okay, wait a minute. We're going to allow you to rebuttal for 10
Thank you.
seconds.
Of course. I did not receive $15,000, but I will tell you all something. You probably received a mailer from my opponent. It landed yesterday, and it was paid for by a PAC called Stronger United. And guess what? It was funded by prohibited vendors and special interests. The one before was also funded by a PAC.
You can finish like in your.
But we want to hear it.
Close it.
Just let them talk. Just let them talk. Let them talk. Let them talk. That's democracy. That's democracy. Yes, that's
We're not going to
democracy.
have attacks going back and forth. If somebody says something that's not true or the opponent doesn't think it's true, we're going to let them.
Clarify, just clarify.
So, we're just going to move on to Alex, the same question. Would you like me to,
If you can repeat
Sure.
the question.
to what extent have you received income or campaign funding from developers or other business interests, directly or through PACs?
So when you say income, number one, income, to me, income sounds like personal income.
Income or campaign funding?
All right. We make it very clear when we're fundraising, we look at the prohibited list from the city. There's a vendor list and there's a developer list that it's clear you cannot accept money from these individuals. And we follow that very strictly. And my campaign has a fundraiser who makes sure that we don't accept money from anyone we're not supposed to accept money from. I will tell you this though, a lot of people got mad at me in my last campaign because I do not remember who gives me money. And a lot of people got mad at me, especially, you know, when you take votes when you say you're completely against the monstrosity that was proposed at the Cleveland Derby, or when you push back against height increases or FAR increases in the Flamingo Park neighborhood. When you push back against that, people get upset at you because they think that you're supposed to remember everyone that has given you money over the years.
Thank you. Luigi, the same question. Have you received campaign funding from developers or other business interests through a PAC?
The answer to the question is no, I have not. I am the only working class candidate here. I am basically self-financed. I work in the hospitality industry. I used to be a manager on Ocean Drive. I used to work as a security guard. I currently work with St. Regis. So no, I'm self-financed and I'm assisted by small donors. And that is the reason why this election is so important. It's important because this is the opportunity for those residents who have been clamoring for years about having a resident's voice on the dais. This is the opportunity for those voters. So the answer is no.
In the meantime, we're gonna go share.
Okay, question 2. This question concerns the city budget, and this is gonna go to Luigi.
Can't hear you.
Speak up, you guys.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, question 2 is concerning the budget. Do you feel the city budget is appropriately sized for the city? And if not, where do you feel any cuts or additions should be made?
I'll project. So. Okay, either way. All right. Now, in terms of the city budget, I believe that we need to leave it to the experts, the forensic accountants, to actually look at that. In terms of where the fat is, really, we have to understand that we have to go in carte blanche with a fresh set of eyes and see what we find. It's almost like an MRI. You just go in there, you hope for the best, but you gotta do it and let's see what the imaging says. Okay? So that's, I think, the approach that we have to take here. Okay? Now, we have to look at where expenditures can be reevaluated and recalibrated, because we may have certain funding that might have been grandfathered in and conditions have since changed, such as our climate. So I would say that we need a review, and let's see where there's opportunities for a reduction. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex,
What was the question again?
do you feel the city's budget is appropriately sized for the city? And if not, where do you feel any cuts or additions should be made?
Can't hear you. So the question is whether our city's budget is bloated and in what areas we can find efficiencies in general.
Additions or subtractions.
Right. So I do think our budget is bloated. I think it's something that has happened over the past 10 years. And I think we need to go back to a zero-based budget. A zero-based budget is what are the basic operations that the city needs to meet our responsibilities as a municipal government. Start from the very basic. It was actually a recommendation that George Gonzalez made to me a while back, and I think we definitely need to do that. And then focus on anything extra that goes beyond our basic level service of police, of cleanliness, of code enforcement. So we need to go back to that. But I also want to state, we have the highest reserves in our city's history. $114 million in reserves. We also have very strong bond ratings. In fact, our water and sewer bond rating just went up over the past week. Can we do better and do we need to be more efficient? We do, but this budget we found $3 million in efficiencies for the next fiscal year, and we need to do even more with a zero-based budget.
So there's a lot of different areas that you need to look at when you're dealing with a budget. I'm going to give you a couple of examples. So we just opened up Bayshore Park, this beautiful park over here. That park took 11 years to do. And so now we look, some people say more. So now, what was the price of that park 11 years ago versus the $42 million that we spend today? So it adds up to a lot of money. On top of that, all of our infrastructure projects are basically behind schedule. So when that happens, and you draw down on bond money, guess what's happening? You're paying the bondholders. So if you draw a bond, and 10 years later you do a project, you're paying 10 years of interest in the bonds. Okay? So the answer to the real question is, I think that the biggest saving is in the capital improvements program, getting these things moving quickly, not letting them sit on the books forever, so that we have big, huge cost increases over time.
Thank you. So the city goes through a very rigorous budget process. It usually starts in May. We have retreats and workshops, and we go through all of the line items that are shared with the commissioners. Things can definitely move more efficiently. I noticed that during this year's session, and there are a few departments that I think need more TLC, one of them being the sanitation department. It has a very tiny budget, it could use some expansion. We did a geo bond in 2018, and a few of our infrastructure projects are already funded and will be coming down the pike. But as commissioners come and go, it's really important that we get those projects scheduled, ensure we have the funding, and get them done, because that's what's going to be important for our city in the future.
Okay, thank you. This next question is about compensation for the commissioners and the elected officials. Fred will go first and then Laura. Last year, the commission voted vote by referendum to increase commission salary. And instead, the commission itself voted in favor to increase each commissioner's expense account. What is your view on commission compensation, Fred?
So, I'm not for increases. Just so you know, I'm doing this for free. I'm donating everything I get to underprivileged children. But this is really kind of a volunteer type of position. It's not a position to make your livelihood from. If you don't like the rules, then you shouldn't really run. So I'm not for continuing to raise everybody's salaries, raise everybody's stipends, at the taxpayers' expense. The taxpayers have spoken over and over again that they do not want increases for these positions. So again, if you don't like that position, then you shouldn't run. I'm against it. I don't think it should be increased, and I don't think it should have been increased.
So the salary for a commissioner is $6,000, and that's been the same annual salary since the 1970s. It's gone to the voters a couple times, and the voters haven't voted to have that increase. I think that that's a shame, because then you only get people that are wealthy to come and run the city. That could have positive effects, but I think that everybody should have the opportunity to do it. The stipend had been the same, I believe, since the 90s, and the city attorney said that the cost of living should have the stipend increased, and that was done, I believe, maybe 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I'm not exactly sure. I keep a spreadsheet of all of my expenses, and I know that last year I spent $20,000 more than the stipend, because there are incremental costs to being a commissioner and buying tickets and going and attending different events.
We're going to have Luigi and then Alex answer the question. What is your view on commission compensation?
Thank you for the question. I have no personal interest in it, and I can tell you frankly, I never even researched what the compensation was. My campaign slogan is community unity. It's literally all about service. So I can tell you personally, I don't even know what the compensation is. I know that it's a quote-unquote part-time position, but it's a full-time commitment, because the position of commissioner is not our own. It is the community's voice, the community's seat. We are simply a vessel that is working as a medium to get that done. Okay? So, and what is that? The voice of the people, what the people are concerned about. Right now, of course, we're talking about water, we're talking about infrastructure, we're talking about so many things. So essentially, that is where I stand on that. Thank you.
So in 2023, when the commission was considering changing the laws for the vesting period for commissioners, to change the vesting period from 5 years to 2 years to qualify for the pension, I voted against it. When the commission was considering the legislation to increase compensation, I amended the legislation so that I wouldn't benefit from that, because I don't believe I should be supporting my own salary increase. So I feel that that belongs to the voters ultimately, but I also do know, having worked with people that were on fixed incomes, like Maddie Bauer. Like, Maddie Bauer is not an independently wealthy person, but she was an incredible mayor for the city of Miami Beach. And to represent the diversity of our communities means having a diversity of people of different incomes, not only wealthy people, but people of all socioeconomic levels represented in our legislative body. And I think we need to allow the voters to make that decision. Thank you.
Okay, the next question is on an issue that's relatively new issue that came up in the city. And we're gonna start with Alex. Playboy recently announced that they're relocating to South Beach, and it's become known that they're also seeking $800,000 in incentives from the city to relocate here. And what's your position on this request?
So I believe with these things, we need to see what is the city getting for it? What is the investment in capital that this company is doing? How many jobs are they going to bring? How many good paying jobs are they going to bring? And I think we need to look at that criteria to determine, is this a good investment? Would this be a good return? How many of those jobs will be Miami Beach jobs? I think at a time when we see the economy on Lincoln Road suffering, we need to be open-minded. And we need to consider, will this bring full-time consumers to a corridor where restaurants are suffering, an area that needs economic revitalization? But there has to be a return on investment to the taxpayers. That means making sure that we're giving this money, that money is being spent that increases our ad valorem, that our local residents are being hired, and that those hires get very good, well-paid salaries to reinvest in our local economy.
Luigi.
Thank you. Not all money is good money. I think overall, it hurts our branding. If we are in the process of trying to rebrand, and I have that commitment to rebrand the city of Miami Beach as a world-class city, for all of the money that Playboy may or may not bring to the city, and then of course this $800K on top of that, I think it proves why it really probably was the most prudent decision. Personally, I would have been against it because I would have looked towards our bio-ecodiversity. We have such an ecological treasure here. We have an amphibious environment here. We have so much that we could do in terms of science and education that would still generate family-friendly dollars. We have an opportunity to lead the way in terms of research, hurricane research, and in terms of marine life and preservation, and make the same equal money, good money, with positive impact. Thank you.
Laura.
So I read a high-level article in one of the business journals about that incentive, but I've not been briefed or presented anything from the city administration or the city attorney's office. I find it interesting. I have to learn more. That office is going into Lincoln Road, and if you've been on Lincoln Road lately after COVID and having several hotels on the East End shut down at the same time, whether it's the Raleigh and the Delano and the Shore Club, it's really affected business there, and Lincoln Road needs a shot in the arm. So I need to hear what the proposal is, and if it makes sense and it's something that the city is going to get a return on investment, I think we should look at it.
So, I can't even believe that this question is coming up. The answer is an absolute no, it's absurd. To say that $800,000 of the taxpayer money is going to go to a company like Playboy, and that $800,000 is going to revitalize Lincoln Road, and $800,000 is going to make a difference for the citizens of Miami Beach is just absurd. It's just not so. To me, it's a scam. I wouldn't do it. You want to revitalize Lincoln Road, then, put $800,000 into Lincoln Road. I just can't even believe that that is coming up. To say that a company's not going to move here because they're not getting $200,000 a year is absurd. The whole question is absurd. I don't get it. The revitalization of Lincoln Road in part has to do with the permitting process that we go through in Miami Beach. Many companies don't want to come here because it's 2 years to get a permit. Those are the things I would be focusing on. I'm absolutely not for giveaways to companies who can afford to pay their own way. Absolutely not.
The next question is a fun question. We like to ask this some years. Laura's going to go first. Laura, what question would you like to ask your opponent?
Go first.
So many.
I know. How much of your own money have you put into this race?
$150,000.
And Fred, is there a question you would like to ask your opponent?
How many developers have you taken money from?
I have a fundraiser and I have not taken any money from developers or vendors that are prohibited. It's all public documents and I don't keep track of who donates to that part of the campaign.
Alex, is there a question that you would like to ask your opponent?
Sure. What's your favorite part about living in Miami Beach?
Come on, no, really. It's in trouble.
What was the answer?
Oh, what's his favorite part about living in Miami Beach?
Thank you, Commissioner. My favorite part about living in Miami Beach is the community unity. I mean, look at us here. We all have diversified opinions. We're nothing in civil discourse. So, yeah, just being part of the community. Thank you.
Okay, well that was a softball. I don't know, Luigi, if you want to. What question would you like to ask your opponent, Luigi? What would you like to ask Alex?
My question. What is your favorite place of vacation?
Your staycations in Miami Beach.
Both of them, not funny.
Okay, our next question is going to be a lightning round question, so we're looking for a yes or no answer. And we're going to start with Alex. Do you support the over $100 million parking garage community center and Olympic-sized rooftop pool project on 72nd Street?
That's not a yes or no question. That is not a yes or no question. So I'll tell you this. And I have said this publicly, I am not supporting a single extra dollar of funding towards that project. And that's my position on that. A single dollar more, and I don't support it, and I've said it publicly, and that's been my consistent position on that.
Can you repeat the 72nd Street?
It's a over $100 million parking garage, community center, and Olympic-sized rooftop pool project on 72nd Street.
The answer is no, and the umbrella under that will fall under that forensic audit.
Laura.
So that project was voted on by previous commissioners many, many years ago, and is already deep into the design phase. It's not something that we can change without costing the taxpayers millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I feel that, yes, I support the way it is, and not a penny more, as my colleague Commissioner Fernandez said.
So the answer is no, and the reason is because it goes back to what I said before. This was a project that was approved, I believe, around the GO bond in 2018. It was a $53 million project at that time. Because there's a 7-year delay, here we go back to the taxpayer, and now it's a $100 million project. So every time that we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we wait, and we don't move things down the road, guess what happens? The expenses go up and the expenses go up. So based on that, I would vote no at this point in time.
Okay, we have another lightning round question. Would you support, and we're gonna start with Fred. Would you support the elimination of travel lanes, on-street parking, and/or green space in order to create dedicated bicycle lanes throughout the city?
You know, given our current traffic problem in the city, probably not. I wouldn't say 100%, you know, but we have a big traffic problem here. So to be taking away, you know, more of the roads, I think is probably not a very good idea at this point in time.
So our city did a master plan, micromobility master plan, several years back, and the focus was pedestrian, bicycle, transit, and then car. Around the same time, the city has built about 31 miles worth of bicycle lanes, and we have another 40 that are coming. We also, this was many years in the making, we completed the beach walk, which also allows for bikes. And I co-sponsored with the mayor, a hard pack east of the dunes that's currently in consideration and review because the beach walk has been so popular, so that bicycles can use the hard pack and pedestrians can only use it. So we do have a plan to expand for pedestrians more, for bicycle lanes, and the transportation is doing a good job to try to get as much space for bikes as possible.
Luigi.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I am the only candidate who truly lives a green lifestyle. I do not own a car. I use public transit every day. I use a trolley. I've been using them for years. County, local, etc. Rideshare. Now, in terms of the hard pack on the beach, that is an efficient contributing solution, not complete, but contributing. And the reason why is because we are adding additional access without sacrificing the lifeblood of the city. So what are the main arteries of the city of Miami Beach? You have College, you have Washington, you have our main roads. So those routes must remain open so that the city can flow. But by adding additional smart micromobility lanes in hot spots or certain places, that goes back to the laser precision, focusing on hot spots, that's what I would do. Thank you.
Okay, so I would absolutely not support getting rid of travel lanes or parking for bicycle lanes. In fact, I have an initiative, a reclaim parking initiative, because we have a lot of striped areas that we can reclaim as on-street parking for people. We have a parking crisis in our city, so we need every single space of parking that we can get. But I do support where we can accommodate bicycle lanes without losing travel lanes or parking. That I do support. And so, like for example, in North Beach, FDOT wanted to come in and do a project with us to expand bicycle lanes. We didn't move forward with it. Why? It was going to take away parking from the businesses. But we're looking to see where and what other spaces can we get the sufficient space to accommodate bicycle lanes, because we do need to expand our bicycle infrastructure. We need to give people that alternative as well.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, we're going to move on to closing statements now. We're going to start at the far end with Luigi. And 1 minute.
Thank you kindly. My name is Luigi Mary. I'm asking you to vote number 144, to vote Luigi. This election is very important. It's a midterm election, and I implore each and every one of you to consider the options. Why? Why should you vote for Luigi Mary? Well, I'll tell you, I'm not here for financial interest. It's all about the community. Not to say that anyone else has a financial interest, but this is important. This is an opportunity that I have watched the city as a manager on Ocean Drive, as a local person using mass transit every day, as a person here dealing with the flooding, getting my shoes wet on the way to work, having to buy new socks. I know what it is to be a working class candidate, and I promise and assure that your voice will be represented and magnified respectfully, and I pledge to work together with all. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys again for giving me the opportunity to serve you over the past 4 years. I forcefully opposed the monstrosity that was proposed by the Clevelander on Ocean Drive. When developers wanted more height and FAR on 6th Street in the Flamingo Park Historic District, I pushed back to protect our city's character. When developers wanted to take over the public parking lots on 40th Street, I pushed for a charter referendum to protect our public lands through a public referendum. When our infrastructure projects were being delayed, they were sent to the committee which I chair, the Land Use and Sustainability Committee, to iron out the wrinkles, and those projects were unanimously approved by our city commission. It's why West Avenue is moving forward now. It's why First Street is going to be going out to procurement in the summer. It's why North Shore D is going to be going into design. I am committed to continue fighting for our community, continue advancing our infrastructure projects, ensuring that we focus on economic revitalization on our commercial corridors, and that we focus on affordability and traffic for the quality of life of our residents. Thank you again for allowing me the opportunity.
So growing up here made a big impact on me. I'm your quality of life candidate. If it's not good for the residents, the answer is no. My opponent has voted for every single variance for height increase and FAR, takes developer money. I don't. I'm telling you now, there will never be a time that I'm going to vote for a height increase or an FAR. I'm not going to be in any developer's pocket. I'm not in anybody's pocket. My opponent says that I'm self-funding, so I don't listen to people. I'm a resident candidate. Absolutely 100%. So when people say, listen, we're going to build another 17 stories, and it's no big deal, it is a big deal. I want you to know it's a big deal on our infrastructure. That 17 stories creates 1,200 flushes per day into an already overburdened infrastructure system. So these are things that I understand. I'm never going to betray the residents here. You're always going to have a resident-friendly candidate here.
Thank you, Miami Beach United, for hosting this forum and for the community for coming out and staying informed. I do want to tell you that I am getting beat up by 5 grown men in this election. They're lying and saying misinformation, and it's pretty disgusting the way they feel comfortable treating me that way. I'm a consensus builder, I'm a facilitator. I have a great working relationship with every single neighborhood association across the city. I have a track record, and guess what? The people that are endorsing make me the trusted endorsee. So whether it's the firefighter, the police, So Be Safe, the labor organizations, Ruthless, and the kids, Equality Florida, SAVE, they all trust me. They've seen my work for the past 3 years, and they want me to be reelected in November. To learn more about my accomplishments, you can visit lauradominguez.vote, and I'm ballot number 140, and I humbly ask for your vote in this election.
Commissioners and our 2 contenders. It's a very lively debate, and thank you to our panelists, Scott and Miguel. So be sure to vote. You've all heard a lot tonight, and you have some tough decisions to make, but I'm sure you will make them wisely. Thanks again to the Women's Club for hosting us. Now, in the next few days, we're going to be sending out the closing statements that you would have heard from the mayoral candidates last week. Since they could not make it, we asked them each to submit a 250-word statement of what they would have said, and we'll be distributing that in our newsletter in the next few days. So thank you all for coming. Very interesting meeting.